Hi everybody, welcome back to Bree's Books and Budgets. I'm Bree and I'm here to talk about the Amazing Readathon update that I have. This will be update number 2. I am updating you on the books that I have completed for Amazing or I'm in the middle of reading. The Amazing Readathon is a readathon hosted by Bree from Four Paws in a Book, and I will go ahead and list her information down below. The first book I'm going to talk about is a book that I read for a cover that is over the top, and I read A Fate Forged in Fire. I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a good time vibe for me. There were some twists in it that I did not expect, and there were a few that I definitely figured out. However, I am interested in seeing how the story concludes in the next book, which should be out sometime in early 2026. If you like dragons and you like a female character who is fighting for her birthright, this would be a good book to pick up and read purely for the vibes. The next book I'm going to talk about is The House of Sky and Breath. I read this for a book set in a large city. This is by Sarah J. Maas. This is also known as Crescent City 2. I have the Barnes & Noble edition. This was actually a very massive book. It's over 800 pages. As you can see, it's very thick. I went ahead and doubled the points for my team. Go Gale Weavers. This book, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was not my favorite book out of the 2 Crescent City books that I've read so far. I am hoping that the third one, House of Flame and Shadow, will bring me back to what I enjoyed about the first book. Supposedly there is going to be a 4th book in Crescent City series, but we don't know. We haven't heard anything from publishing or anything from Miss Sarah J. Maas herself. It's kind of like the ACOTAR Book 6. We don't know anything about it. We don't know if it's actually coming, and we'll know when they release the information about it. The next book I read for Amazing was for a sightseeing prompt, and I read The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I gave this a 3.5 stars. It took me a while to get into. I was listening to the audiobook and I got to about 50% and I still wasn't quite into it. Then I sped up the audiobook to 2 times the speed and I was able to get into it. So I don't know if it was the pacing of the book itself or the pacing of the audio, but I just didn't enjoy it until I hit 50%, which is why I got a 3.5 stars, because I finally got into the story and really enjoyed it. Next, let's go ahead and talk about some of the Kindle books that I read for Amazing. The first one I'm going to talk about is You Killed Me First by John Mars. I read this for a sightseeing prompt, and the prompt was a new to me author, and I've never read John Mars before. I gave this book 2.75 stars. I actually was a little disappointed that I did not like this book, but I've heard that I may like his sci-fi books, and so the next one I'm going to try is one of his sci-fi books. Then I read Direbound, and I read that book for a winter setting for one of our prompts for one of the cities that we visited. I gave it 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed it. I definitely had some good vibes with it. There were a couple things that I didn't like about it, but it wasn't enough to knock it down to a 4 star. That's why it's still 4.75. I look forward to the next book to see what happens, because there was a twist at the end of this book that I did not expect to happen. There were a few things that I suspected, but they didn't come to fruition, but this one definitely did. And so I was very interested to see what is going to happen next, and that won't happen until sometime in early 2026 as far as I know. I read Family Affair and I gave that a 4.0. I actually borrowed the audiobook from the library. It wasn't on my Kindle. I enjoyed the book. It was a great social commentary about what families should look like and what their dynamics are, and how the court system may or may not play into what that belief system is. It is set in England. The audio is only 5 hours long. I do recommend borrowing it and checking that book out for yourself. It was a good book. Another book that I read not on Kindle, but I don't have the physical copy anymore, is Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. I read this as a sightseeing prompt, and it was an interesting book. It was set in a small town. It actually happened to be a lakeside town, so if you know anything about North Carolina and you know small towns, you know how small they can be and the different dynamics that can happen in there. And it's a mystery thriller, so it was more of discovering why, what happened. And one of the first things that happens, and I won't go any further, is that they discover a car that was abandoned in a lake after there were so many days without rain and a drought was starting to happen. So it was interesting to see right from the beginning how that kind of happened and what transpired the rest of the book for the mystery, if there were other cars that showed up or there were other mysteries and disappearances that they need to look into, things like that. So I highly recommend the book. I thought it was great. I actually let my mom borrow it. That's why I don't have the book physically. One of the books that I'm currently reading is The Society of Lies by Lauren Ling Brown. And this book is set in Princeton, New Jersey, specifically at Princeton University. I grew up in the area, so it's interesting for me to be able to understand the area that she's talking about in this book, the different businesses that she's talking about, and the setup of the campus as I know how it goes. This is a murder mystery. There has been somebody who has potentially been killed, and there is a whole mystery of, does it go back 10 years prior? Is there a history of this going on? Different things like that. It is interesting to note that it is about a eating club. Princeton University does not have sororities or fraternities, and that's what this book is kind of about. Is it a secret society? Is it not? If it is just a plain eating club, what secrets are they hiding? Who knows? So it's an interesting book. I'm 20% in, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. The next book that I'm reading for Amazing is actually Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is book 1 of the Infernal Devices trilogy. It's part of the larger Shadowhunters universe that I am slowly reading through. I'm excited to finish this book. I'm about 60% through, and I've been listening to the audio in addition to reading it physically, so I have that immersive experience. It's very interesting. I do not like the characters as much as I liked the characters in the first 3 Immortal Instruments, but it's very interesting to see the characters that are mentioned in Immortal Instruments as ancestors or part of the family tree in these books. So I am excited to see how it all comes together and what we can learn from this trilogy that will hopefully connect with the later trilogies. So that is my reading update for the Amazing Readathon Part 2. And if you still want to participate, go ahead and please check out Bree from Four Paws in a Book. Her information is listed below, as I mentioned earlier. She is the creator of the Amazing Readathon. It's not too late to join us. You can actually log any books that you've read in the month of June. YouTube is going to suggest a video that you may like here, and then down below, please don't forget to click like and subscribe. Feel free to comment down below any kind of questions, concerns, or reading suggestions that you may have. Let me know what your favorite YouTube channel is, and if you have any video ideas that you would like to see me try to do, please let me know. I will talk to you soon. Bye!